We innately are not quitters. Typically, a baby will not stop crying until you satisfy their needs. A toddler won't stop running in the street unless you chase after them and grab their hand. A teenager will keep doing what you tell them not to do. Well, unless, of course, the punishment supersedes the perceived value of the reward of rebellion. Hey, I'm Dr. Trillian Small, and today we are going to dive into quiet quitting. And if you want the written transcript of today's episode, you can go to my website, trillionsmall.com/ quiet quitting blog. So, why are people quiet quitting? I know this has been a topic of discussion for quite some time now. Quitting becomes the desired option when certain needs are not met. We can learn a thing or two about quitting and how to divert it from a few people in the Bible. The first one, Hannah. She quit because she was being mistreated. Her boss, air quotes, so to speak, was treating her so poorly, possibly justifiable, but I'll let you decide, that she ran away. The only reason she returned was because God told her to. Otherwise, she and her child would have died. Now, I'm going to give you guys the why, the assessment, and the antidote that you can actually apply to your own life and to your own professional space as well for each of these individuals that wanted to quietly quit. So, the why. Hannah quit because the leadership was harsh and the work environment was toxic. What's the assessment? Gather a consensus on your office culture. Do people perceive it as toxic or healthy? Do people desire to run away at 5 p.m. or do they look forward to giving an extra hour if required? Would they say you are understanding, compassionate, loving, and considerate? If not, what would they say? And the antidote. I want you to espouse an attachment leadership style. I, Dr. Trillian Small, train leaders on how to implement an attachment leadership style if you are interested. Now, essentially, you focus your energy on forming a bond with each employee. You take the time to see, hear, and connect with each of them according to their unique personality and needs. You know their triggers and you know their attachment language. It's similar to the love language. Yes, love. Love matters even at work. Number two person who wanted to quit. Jeremiah wanted to quit so much so that he even cursed the day that he was born. He was essentially leading hard headed people, and he had enough and wanted out of his position. Although he wanted to quit, he did not because his passion wouldn't let him. He called it a fire shut up in his bones. What's the why? Jeremiah came seconds away from quitting because the people he was leading would not listen. No matter what he said, they chose to do the contrary. They undermined and undercut him as a leader. The assessment. How have you actively demonstrated that you value your team? Do they feel like their contributions are adhered to, or do they feel as if their voice does not matter? Pay attention to the one who used to speak up, but now remains silent. Pay attention to the one who has become aggressive and overly dominant. If they were not this way before, then inquire as to why they are now. I would not be surprised if they are feeling the same way Jeremiah felt. So, what's the antidote? What meaning does one have when they come to work with you? Humans often search for the meaning of life. If the passion is waning, then find a way to reignite the why behind what you all do. Attach a meaningful cause to bolster altruism if needed. What's the irresistible offer to retain them based on what motivates them? Not everyone is motivated by the same things. Some may desire money and power, while others may desire upward mobility, freedom, connectivity, joy, and the likes. Find out what moves them and present them with an offer that they cannot resist. All right, our third person, Job, desired to quit because he was under undue pressure without relief. One moment he was fine, and the next moment his world was flipped upside down. His children and cattle died. His staff left him. His friends kept blaming him and had zero empathy. And his home life was in shambles as his wife told him to just curse God and die. If that isn't enough pressure to make you crumble, I don't know what is. How do you survive under so much pressure with no relief? Some people don't, and they quit. What's the why? Job desired to quit because when his world was caving in, he had no one to turn to and help carry the burden and load. When we breach past allostatic load, we're at high risk of burnout. So the assessment, is your staff on the verge of quitting because you've placed too much pressure on them with not enough support and release of their burdens? How do your employees feel supported? And I want you to go beyond your EAP offer of 8 to 12 therapy sessions. That is great, but stretch beyond that resource as well. So, the antidote, try giving intentional breaks and freedom to the employees that are in this space. Who wants to feel stuck and constrained? No one. Especially if they already feel that way in their personal life. What a double whammy. Try offering hybrid work, limit meetings on one particular day, and allow for creative thinking. Reward healthy behavior breaks while in the office, such as taking a walk or completing a meditation exercise. You may not be a clinician, but call them into the office monthly and genuinely ask about their personal life. They may not care to share if they want to keep work and their personal life separate, but it will at least account for something that you asked and actually weighted their response. You will be greatly rewarded by giving them ample opportunities to release the pressure and offload. And number 4, Moses didn't want to be the one to lead his people out of slavery. His excuse was, I'm not eloquent, but I am slow of speech and slow of tongue. Perhaps he had a stuttering problem and it aided his insecurity. Our insecurities often make us run and hide, and that sure enough is what Moses did. He ran from his huge responsibility. God attempted to encourage him by saying, I made your mouth, basically. But Moses still persisted and insisted that God choose someone else. What's the why? Moses desired to quit because he didn't feel like he was good enough. He didn't believe he had what it took. He believed that his insecurities were more powerful than God's ability to still use him powerfully despite his limitations. So, the assessment, what resources do you offer your current employees to aid in upskilling? What about resources to aid in a faster time to productivity for new employees? Learning ecosystems have proven efficient in improving performance. So, the antidote. Although Moses wanted this responsibility to be passed on to someone else, God didn't allow it. He simply enrolled, quote unquote, Moses into a buddy system, and his brother Aaron became his spokesman. So Moses was to speak to Aaron, and Aaron was then to translate what he heard to the people. Have you considered pairing your employees regardless of performance? Even the best of the best need a healthy interaction with peers and mentors. Who knows? You just may unearth a stellar leader who's been standing on the sideline and just needed that extra push by way of intentional pairing to boost their confidence, thus their visibility and value. I am Dr. Trillian Small, and I can help you mitigate quiet quitting by conducting a thorough assessment. So give me a call, shoot me an email. I'd love to help.